If you know in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, with all your might that you are meant for more, and you are, and you know that what you're doing isn't working, start making changes. Believe that you can, in fact, have the life that you want to have. We have to stop limiting ourselves and thinking negative that this isn't possible for me. It is.
Coach Lee, thank you so much for being here on the Unleash Your Ambition podcast. Can you please share who you are, what you do, and how you help
Thank you for
people?
thank you for having me. I am Coach Lee, criminal defense attorney by day, productivity and accountability coach, like I like to say throughout. I'm all about empowering people, more specifically women, corporate and professional women, to find that hidden time in their day, time that they can use to pour back into themselves to pursue their goals, their purpose, and their life passions while still maintaining their current responsibilities. Because as women, we play so many different roles in life that we often neglect ourselves. So I'm all about helping you to find time for you while not neglecting the things that you have going on. So that is me.
Ooh, beautiful introduction. And thank you so much. I follow you on Instagram, and your message and your videos have really resonated with me because we share similar viewpoints and values on, number one, not compartmentalizing things in your life because they're all connected, and then number two is just having some sort of harmony to where you're taking care of yourself, because I always say we are the most important asset out of every area of our lives, whether we're, being a wife, a mother, a partner, a business owner, business professional, all of this is connected. So your zone of genius is all about work-life balance, productivity, organization. I would love for you to talk about your journey into doing this. I know you're passionate about it, but I'm always curious about, like, what's the backstory? Like, why this in particular?
Well, in all honesty, like I said, I'm a criminal defense attorney by day. I love what I do. I have no intention of stop doing law to do this business. Not saying that I don't want my business to grow and expand, but I never set out to do this, in all honesty. It really came about from people telling me, you're so motivating, you're so encouraging, because it kind of started in the health and fitness coaching. And with health and fitness coaching, it's not just about working out and eating healthy. It's also finding that time to work out and different things like that. So I was always encouraging the ladies in the group about, like, how they can fit their workout and how to do a walk, how to involve their kids, different things like that. And it was like, how do you do it all with being a lawyer, with getting your workouts in, with going to trial, with doing all these things? And then over time, I realized that people struggled with it. I still said, here's the funny thing, I don't have time to become a coach because criminal defense attorney by day. The pandemic kind of changed that because, when you tell God your plans, he's like, oh, you don't have time? I'm gonna just put the world on pause a little bit. And literally, like within a week or two of the pandemic, I was like, I'm so bored at home. I need something else to do. And those thoughts started coming back to me. And I started looking up coaching. I found the video. I made it halfway through the first video. And the first video was like 4 minutes. And I was like, oh, I see what people say I should do this. And that's how I kind of got here. I guess more specifically, how did I get the productivity and accountability? Like, I knew I didn't want to just be like a life coach. Like, yes, I am helping you with life, but because of the fact that people always struggle with time or time management, and for me, like, I can plan in my sleep. I can reverse engineer something with my eyes closed. That I found kind of like that niche of productivity and accountability, because often it's not just about getting the things done, but it's about having that accountability, having someone who's going to check in and ask you, like, hey, did you do it? Where are you struggling?
Isn't it wild? Like, something that comes so easy to you, you realize, like, a lot of people struggle with it. Like I mentioned before we hit record, that my weakness is I never know what day of the week it is, and time. That's my biggest weakness. Like, if I don't have a calendar or appointments in the calendar, it doesn't exist at all.
Mhm.
So your revelation of discovering that there are so many people that are, it's just not their strong suit. Like, how was that for you? What was that revelation like for you?
I think it was really people asking me, like, how do you do it all? Because, and back then I wasn't waking up as early as I wake up now, but it's like, you
Mhm,
go to bed early, but I know you meal prep. I know you work out, you
mhm.
go to trial, you still get your walks in. Like, at the time, like pre-pandemic, I was also refereeing basketball, which meant most days after work, I was driving to some school within 3 counties to referee a basketball game, middle school or high school, and then coming home, going to bed, doing it all over again. And so really it was people like seeing me who knew me in real life or even seeing me like in my stories showing up, like sharing these different clips of my day. Like, how are you doing all these things? And it really just kind of realized that we struggle. I think we struggle because we don't know what to do. It's like, I know that this isn't what's meant for me, but like, how do I get out of this place? How do I get onto something better, something different? And just realizing that I knew how to do it and can show people how to do it to where, like I say, you're not neglecting your current responsibilities. It's not about an all or nothing approach. It's not,
Mm,
I'm going to pursue my goals and not do anything else, or I'm going to be there for my family and not take care of my goals. It kind of comes back to that, not even just work life balance, just that life
mhm,
balance of all the
mhm.
different things and different roles we play in life.
My question is, how do you do it? Because yes, so many people struggle with this, and you being a testimony that you can do multiple things without sacrificing the things that you enjoy doing or that you want to do. Because you're right. I think we're conditioned to think that it's all or nothing. Some people just don't even see how to even make all of these things happen. So how do you do it?
I know you mentioned like if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening, it's not in real life. That's part of it. Like
Mhm.
calendars, I'm always telling people like, did you make a to-do list? Like I am a list person. I have so many different notebooks, random scratches of paper with like to-do lists and notes in it. And I've now gotten to where been able to compartmentalize and keep it kind of like in one notebook instead of 17,000 notebooks. But literally it's me keep getting it out of my head and onto paper. We struggle with trying to do so many different things because we're trying to keep it in our head instead of putting it on paper. So I'm a big list person, whether that's my work to-do list, like I literally make a to-do list for work, my business to-do list, my life to-do list. It's literally making a list, and in making that list, understanding what the priorities are for the week, for the day, for the month, based off of what's already happening. Instead of like over planning my week, my day, my month, because I'm doing these other things, I'm taking into account what's already on the schedule before I, number one, say yes to anything else, and number two, know and decide, I guess you could say, how I'm planning out the actual day.
Calendars, to-do lists, they're such simple tools, but they can change your life. For example, there's a contrast between me and my husband. He does not write anything down. He tries to keep everything up here. And I tell him, you're not like in your late teens, early 20s anymore. You're not going to remember all of that. I said the only way that I'm able to do everything that I do and remember everything is because it's written down. So I live in a household where I can see the contrast, because I wouldn't be able to do any of the things that I do without a list. Like the way that I operate, my brain operates, like I don't want a laundry list of things to do. Like I actually have the laundry list, but out of that laundry list, I pick out like the top 3 my intention is to do that week for each day. And then in order to motivate myself, I'm like, okay, what if I don't get those 3 done? What is the one thing that needs to be done that day? And that
Mhm.
like sets my brain at ease. Like, what's your process to keep you from getting overwhelmed with the endless? It's an endless list of things to do. We're always going to be doing things. And I think that in itself can make people so overwhelmed that they get paralyzed and they don't end up doing anything at all. So for you personally, how do you work out what's top priority?
So for me, I start first with the brain dump. So typically on Saturday, sometime during the day, Saturday, because typically I meal prep in the morning and then like as the day kind of goes on. But I do a brain dump of what I need to get done this upcoming week. Like whatever's in my head that I'm thinking about that I need to do, whether that be life or business. I do the same thing at work, but I do it obviously on Friday at work. I do a brain dump of what's upcoming this upcoming week that I need to do, that I need to take care of, and I write it all down. And then from there on Sunday, I turn that into my to-do list for the week. I use Asana to keep track of like my to-do list. Like I know it's a project management, but you can really use Asana for your personal life. Like I have a board that's literally my business, and then I have a board that's me that has like my grocery list in it, my to-do list, my shopping list, like all the things. But so I use Asana, and within Asana, I have a list that's like due today, must do this week, to-do list for the week, to-do list for the month, and then future to-do list. Like the future to-do list, like if something comes into my head, instead of me trying to hold on to it, I just put it in the future section, and if it's time specific, I'll assign a date to it. But essentially, after I do that brain dump on Saturday, I turn that into my to-do list for the week, and I give a rough estimate of due dates for it based off of what's happening this week. Like, okay, this needs to be done by this day, so I'll assign it or date or things like that. But I also make daily to-do lists. So like each night, typically before I go to bed, I make my to-do list and decide, kind of like what you said, like those 3 focus tasks, the things that I must get done that next day. Because when we make that to-do list for the week, life is going to happen throughout the week. And being that I'm a criminal defense attorney by day, the way trials work, like the judge will put up a couple cases that are on the list for trial. And so depending on where I'm at on that list, I may or may not be in trial based off the other responsibilities I have at work. So I have to juggle and balance that into what it is that I can get done as well. Because like I use my lunch breaks at work to work on my business and to, make those calls that you need to make, the doctor's appointment and things like that. So I start first with the brain dump, turn that into a to-do list, and then each day I kind of check in on that list and decide based off of what I think is supposed to happen tomorrow. Here's what I believe I can get done. And then there are times that I knock that list out the park, make it onto things that are on the later part of the week or even the future part of the week, and then I'm able to adjust and I guess you could say pivot as a result of that.
I really like your process. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to go from your process to helping people who are just not organized folks. They don't have your brain. You know what I mean? That's why
Yeah.
they come to you, because they're just like, I don't know what to do. How do you translate like your process over to the people that you help? What does that look like?
So I kind of start with like it's like 2 different ways to work with me, but in like the one-on-one coaching, you get the first way. So I'll just talk about it in that way.
Mhm.
So essentially, it kind of starts with creating a framework for the week. Because generally speaking, for the most part, our weeks look the same week by week. Now, what specifically, like if it's like I need to go to work, like for me, what happens at work is going to vary, but typically we're not really working on their specific work schedule. It's what am I doing outside of work or to get these things done in life? So it kind of starts first with like getting that generic outline of what your typical week looks like. So then you can see where your free time is. Like, what time do you have like on that commute to work? Are there calls that you need to make or that you can make? Do you have the ability to use your lunch break to do stuff? If you have to drive for work, while you're in the car driving for work, can you use some of that time to make some of these calls? So it kind of starts first with getting that template or that framework of what your typical week looks like. Because once you understand what your typical week looks like, you'll understand how much free time you have, or even where that hidden time is, i.e., that commute time that we don't think about that we can get stuff done in. And then we start kind of building out from there what it is they're working on. And so with me, like with working with me, like I'm all about one-on-one coaching. So it's going to be specific and unique to you. Like we have this framework that we're using, but depending on what it is specifically you're coming to me for, because sometimes people are coming to me like, I'm studying for this test and I need to specifically build a study schedule. Sometimes it's, I'm starting this business while still working. How does that work? One client that I recently just was working with, she just left like the public defender's office and went to a private firm. So she's trying to figure out like, how do I do criminal law, but like at a private firm where I'm driving to 3-4 different counties and like my time literally is not my own. So it kind of depends obviously on what your specific goal is or your struggle is. But generally speaking, we kind of create that framework of what your typical week is going to look like and then start building in these things that you're working on creating and adding into life.
I love that you have it's a unique framework for everybody that you work with. I know just from my personal experience, I like more personalized and customized stuff compared to like something cookie cutter. So I know that you're able to really deliver and be very specific for people. So thank you for sharing that. I definitely wanted to share that. That way people know it's not cookie cutter. People have different brains, people have different schedules, people have different priorities, all of that. So in order to get the best results, I think it's very important to get customized help. Now I'm going to go off on a tangent for a minute because I'm genuinely curious. What was your inspiration behind you becoming a lawyer?
The short answer is my aunt was a corporate attorney.
Mm-hmm.
She would take each of the kids down for like a week in Miami to spend the summers with her. I
Mm-hmm.
spent the summer coming into, I think it was 6th grade with
Mm-hmm.
her, putting files in ABC order. I came back from that summer and I was like, I want to be a lawyer. How did
Mm-hmm.
putting files in ABC order make me know I wanted to be a lawyer? No idea. But I decided in 6th grade I wanted to be a lawyer. I knew I didn't want to do corporate law. And I guess if I think about what I do now, even back then, I realized I wanted to work with people. At that time, I said I wanted to do either criminal law or like plaintiff's personal injury. So, like if you were injured in a car accident, slip or fall, things like that. I wanted to help the person as opposed to the big company or the corporation. I wanted to help you get the results that you needed for your specific situation. And so, yeah, that's how I decided and knew that I wanted to be an attorney.
That's amazing that you followed your dream and followed through. The way your brain works, I'm fascinated by people's brains and my brain and all of that. And I just really enjoy being able to learn more about people's journeys and what's your passion to help people. What is the thing that you want to do to help people? And you're still helping people with your with your business. And I love that. I love that you can have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I think that is just amazing that you're able to branch out in other ways to serve people and help them in different areas of their lives. I really, really love this conversation, Coach Lee. Oh my goodness. Of course, I'm going to have you back on the podcast because there's just so much more we could go
Yes.
into. This is not enough. But in the meantime, for the people that are watching and listening, where can they connect with you outside of the podcast?
I am at legally.me everywhere. Like I said, criminal defense attorney. I had to bring the law into it somewhere. And so legally is LEGALLEE.me. That's website, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like all of them, Facebook, all of them are at legally.me.
Okay, and I'll make sure to leave all of Coach Lee's information. That way you can connect with her. Please follow her on Instagram. She has amazing content. That's how we connected there. And you said that you had a gift, a resource for the people that are watching and listening. It's some type of audit.
Yeah, it's a personalized productivity audit. Essentially, it's a 20-minute call where we can look at where is your biggest struggle with productivity? Like, in your opinion, what's the one big time suck or the one big thing that you wish you could do best with your time? And so it's a quick way for us to look at, it's like a snippet of, you don't get the actual schedule, but you kind of get us to talk through what does your day look like? What does your week look like? Or whatever it is your biggest productivity struggle. And we kind of talk through how you can fix that. It's actionable. It's not just me talking at you. It's not just me listening to you. It's still a collaborative approach of what is it that you want to walk away from this call with, and we get that thing done.
I love that. So I will be sure to have that information also in the show notes. Take advantage of that audit, especially for those of you who know that productivity and organizing, or maybe you have some life changes getting ready to go on in your business and you just have no way of knowing how you're going to get this figured out. Like, you don't have to do this alone. That's why I think it's so important for you to be able to access people, connect with people, and get guidance in areas that's just not your strong suit. We don't have to be a Jan of all trades. We don't have to know it all. We don't have to figure things out by ourselves. The fastest road to you getting to where you want to be is getting the support. This is support for you right here for sure. Thank you so much, Coach Lee. So before we close out this episode, can you share some final words of wisdom for the person that is really paying attention to this episode and knows that they are just not an organized person? They got things all over the place. Their life's all over the place. And it's actually hindering them from experiencing exceptional results in different areas of their lives. Everything's kind of mediocre and they know they can excel to so much more. What would you like to share with that person?
Start. If you know in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, with all your might that you are meant for more, and you are, and you know that what you're doing isn't working, start. Start making changes. Believe that you can, in fact, have the life that you want to have. We have to stop limiting ourselves and thinking negative that this isn't possible for me. It is. Whatever you believe is what you're putting out there. So if you believe that it's not possible for you to change, you're not going to change because your mind's not going to help you to make those actions. But believe that it's possible for you and just start. Small changes add up. Don't worry about trying to completely overhaul your calendar and get everybody on the same page. Just start small. Whether that's making a brain dump, making a to-do list, using a calendar, put something into play. Like, just start with one thing, and then as you build on that one thing, you can compound and keep going from there.